a priestess of ancient old ones, holding the power of a strange and powerful being, gaining powers and tentacles? How to create Ninomae Ina'nus into Dungeons and Dragons? How did she do it, and how the hell do we do it ourselves? Now, the first real question is, how the hell do we make this beloved Ina from a human into a tentacle eldritch being? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. First, we have to choose a humanoid being. There were a couple of options, like, humans, which would be our first and easiest answer. But, there's other humanoids out there. One of them being called the Illumians. They are magical entities once created through they're just very close to humans. Though they have magical glyphs that float around their heads usually. This isn't what makes her an eldritch creature, though. Our next step is to choose the feat called Aberration Blood. Ina gains a feature similar to aberrations, like, say, a Mind Flayer. There are a couple to choose from, which one of them is having slimy skin, which, kind of fits with, the tentacles and, look, it kind of looks like an octopus, I'm not gonna lie, kind of looks like an octopus, man. And the other option is you don't want slippery skin. How about having flexible limbs? That sounds about right. Bones bending unnaturally and being able to move in ways that are very abnormal compared to your everyday humanoid. This makes us a aberration. Effectively that we are able to take specialized feats that only aberrations can take. Now that's great to know, but how do we get tentacles other than just saying, oh, she has them? Aberration Blood has the next step up called Deep Spawn. Taking this feat once gains tentacles, and you can attack with these tentacles too. Using them gains you 2 tentacle slaps. And using these feats, we can benefit from more, like, say, Bestial Hide, raising natural armor for every aberration feat. Turbo Form lets us get more HP for each feat, and Inhuman Reach lets us have stretchy arms able to, reach up to 10 feet. So we have effectively become a being of eldritch power and a creature from the darkness where the great old ones reside. Now, we have to take advantage of this and have powers that are connected to this faraway place. We will do a couple of neat things here. While leveling, choosing 2 main classes and 1 prestige class. The first is going to be called the Mystic. This class is similar to the Cleric, although you don't need to worry about worshiping God or which domain it comes from and who and how do you get it from, and and don't accidentally break their oath or whatever that baloney is. Kind of fits the Priestess vibe with very little strings attached. Her spells are very limited compared to a Cleric who would normally have access to all of the Cleric list, but a Mystic gets around 5 to 3 known spells depending on each level. Cleric may be a bit better if you're trying to build an OP power gaming scenario, but I think Mystic serves Ina's background a bit more. The second class is called Warlock. Everyone needs a little bit of warlocking in their life, having weird eldritch powers. Warlocks are definitely what Ina needs to be. Warlocks are interesting characters in 3rd edition. And surprising enough, this is the first time I've ever made a VTuber using the Warlock abilities. The abilities a Warlock gets are such as, damage reduction, fiendish resistance, are all well-to-known abilities. But also, Eldritch Blast, a staple of the Warlock. And with Ina, she could just use it infinitely. Because that's just what Warlocks could do in 3.5. You just use your Eldritch Blast. Plus, the final touch are Warlock's invocations, which is basically their magic. And using these invocations, you can actually transform your Eldritch Blast in different ways. Making it chain to different things, or having an effect maybe like sleeping, or all sorts of things. It's wackiness. The next benefit of invocations is, like I said, unlimited use of spells. Or in this case, spell-like abilities, which have their own set of rules when dealing with magic. Some are more interesting invocations. Might have the Breath of Night, or Eldritch Chain, which I was just talking about. Hungry Darkness, which literally, I think it literally just makes you get eaten by darkness or something. Chilling tentacles. It's basically that tentacle spell that, grabs people, but it does cold damage now. Really cool. And she can create nightmares. It literally nightmares that are made into real things and they attack you or something like that. It's utter wildness. And again, warlocks are limited to a small amount of invocations, which, now the real question is how to take advantage of leveling these two classes at once. Ina definitely wants to take the prestige class called Eldritch Disciple. Now, not only does this fit her with her lore, but, it says it all in the name. Now, used in this class, their first ability is called Gift of the Divine Patron. We can choose a special ability like Corrupting Blast, making it harder for enemies to resist effects with their willpowers. She can also take up to 3 of these special abilities, only available here. It's such a unique ability to have. And the next one is called Eldritch Spellweave, which it's complete whacking. It is amazing. It basically allows you to weave together your invocation and spells in one attack. It's here. I'll just explain you as an example. Imagine this. Once placed on your enemies, the burning flames grabs and holds onto your enemies as they squeeze the life force out of them, dealing fire damage and crushing damage until the spell ends. The damage-wise looks like 2d6 crushing damage, plus an extra 2d6, plus 1 for every level fire damage. And that's from, firewall, and then the stuff grabs them. And the fire damage isn't even all that powerful, but it's the thought that counts. That, it just makes it really cool. Like, you could do some weird things. Now, with all that being said, Ina would have a very large amount of special abilities to play with and combine them all in interesting ways to determine combat. With Ina at 30 levels of epicness, we would be looking at high dexterity, high wisdom, high charisma for Warlock. The rest of her stats, we can dump them. And at least have, 10 constitution, so it doesn't feel too terrible to get hit. There would be tons of feats, scales that would be useful for this build, but I believe these are the staple feats, abilities, things that we would need to make her make sense lore-wise. But after creating a normal-looking human-like lady into a badass eldritch being, able to cast spells combined with eldritch energy of the great old beings, and attaching tentacles to her that she can actually use mechanically. That is how you too can make Ina into a D&D character. And if you want to see more VTubers into D&D characters, make sure to like and subscribe. Want to see someone specific in the next video? Comment below, and maybe from the deep and dark depths of the abyss, your favorite VTuber may be next to become a D&D character.